On the phones with us right now, great friend of the show, Dr. Ronny Jackson, of course, candidate, Republican candidate up in Texas 13, just made a trip with the president down to Midland last week with some other Republican lawmakers and soon-to-be lawmakers. And Dr. Jackson, always a pleasure to visit with you. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, Chad. Thank you, and I appreciate you having me on again. Thank you.
Absolutely, and congratulations to you for your win in the runoff race. And you do have a general election opponent, and eventually we'll get to the politics there. But let's talk about your trip last week. You were on Air Force One with the president, and of course, Congressman Jody Arrington of the 19th Congressional District, and some others. How'd everything go on that flight?
Yeah, that was a great flight. That was actually a great trip. You know, I happened to be in D.C. because I was up there meeting with some of the Republican leadership, with McCarthy and Scalise and Liz Cheney and some of them, and some of the Texas delegation. I was up there actually talking about what committees I wanted to be on, not being too presumptuous, but, if I win this election in November. So I was kind of talking to the party about that. And, the White House heard I was in town. They called me and they said, hey, President would love for you to join him on the trip to Midland, Odessa on Wednesday. So I hopped on the plane. We flew down there. It was a great, great event. And like you said, Jody Arrington was on the plane, and Mike Conaway, representative from the 11th, from that district there as well. And Ted Cruz was with us, and we had Ronna McDaniel. So it was a good trip.
What did you take away as far as, the president's energy push and everything else? What did you take away from all of that?
Well, he's fired up. I mean, and there's all this talk right now about, Texas, being blue and being in play. That's a bunch of garbage. I mean, we're going to get out there and we're going to take this serious. We're going to fight hard. But the reality is he made a perfect point up there. He said, if former Vice President Biden becomes president, what Texas has to look forward to is Beto O'Rourke knocking on your doors, wanting to take your weapons, and AOC being the energy czar and completely destroying oil and gas, not just for the state of Texas, but for this entire country. And that administration would devastate the state of Texas, and he just made that point up there. And people up there are scared of that happening. So people in Texas are going to rise up and they're going to support the president.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there any talk at all about how the coronavirus pandemic is going, and what are folks in the 13th congressional district? What are they thinking about all of this? It seems like so many people are they're fed up with everything going on with this.
Yeah, they are, and people here are sick of it, and it's out there. I mean, it's still out there, but it's been with us all this time. It's being highlighted right now because we're aggressively testing people, and the number of positive tests are going up. But simultaneously, the number of hospitalizations and deaths are gradually declining. So we're on the right track right now. The President talked about some of the stuff that's out there on the horizon right now with some therapeutics that might be coming out. We might have a vaccine coming out sooner than later. So, we're doing pretty good on this, and better than the Democrats would have you believe. That's for sure.
Yeah, I want to ask you about a headline that was from The Hill today. This makes no sense to me. Top Federal Reserve official says the U.S. needs another lockdown in order to save the economy. Now, I just got done looking at numbers, last week when we were shut down as a nation, and it doesn't look like the economy was doing too good during that lockdown.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a Biden voter to me. I don't know exactly who.
Well, we may have lost him. He may have gotten zapped off the phones. Let's see. We'll try to get back in touch with him here in just a little bit. But, see, once he's talked about the Biden voter, he got zapped. I'm telling you, there's something. Maybe see if that's him again. It's a conspiracy out there. That's what it may have been. It may have been the Biden folks who got him. We've got to talk to Ronny Jackson on. You mentioned the Biden voter, and immediately you got zapped off the phones.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, we dropped somehow, but yeah, my point is, I have no idea what the rationale for some kind of statement like that was. Obviously, we know that if we lock this place down again, our economy is going to be devastated for years and years to come, and we've seen that firsthand. So that's a ridiculous statement.
Would you be in favor of a national mask mandate?
Absolutely not. I think that that's a slippery slope, and that's just having the government, Big Brother, tell me as a healthy individual with no symptoms whatsoever that I have to wear a mask if I'm walking down the street with my wife, or else they're going to fine me or put me in jail. I'm absolutely not in support of that.
Yeah. Do you think there's when you were in D.C., and I'm sure this has to come up a lot. I mean, it's, the area you're in, and I know you said earlier you're not taking anything for granted. The Texas 13th Congressional District, it's one of the most Republican districts in the U.S. Has there been any talk, or have you been involved in any talks of Republicans retaking the House? How do Republicans feel their chances are of knocking Nancy Pelosi out of the Speaker's chair?
Yeah, I think we've got a good chance at that, actually, to tell you the truth. I think maybe a few months back people were thinking it wasn't all that likely, but I think as time goes on, it's getting more and more likely. And like I said, I think it's because the stuff that's going on the left right now is literally scaring people to death. Yeah. And I think there are a lot of folks out there that, that might have been inclined to vote blue, to vote as a Democrat or support a Democrat candidate somewhere, but they're listening to the rhetoric coming from Nancy Pelosi and AOC and all the other clowns on that side of the aisle that are and the stuff they're saying, especially with all the law and order that's going on in this country right now, the lack of law and order, and people are scared right now. So I think a lot of people are going to get out there and they're going to vote Republican.
Dr. Ronny Jackson, always a pleasure to visit with you. I'm sure we'll visit again very soon.
Thank you, Chad. Appreciate it.
Thank you. That's Dr. Ronny Jackson, Texas 13.